All right. What is up, everybody? I'm just gonna see over here on the Patreon if it is up and live as far as the video goes. Let me go back to my main page here. Is it live? Is it playing? Is it live? Is it playing? Play? Hey, it is. Okay, cool. We got that worked out. Oh, well, guys, it's been another week in the tissue culture education that I'm getting to myself. I wish I could pull up comments. Actually, I don't even know where the comments would go, what channel it is. Because again, guys, this is a live. If you're watching this on the Weed in Jars YouTube channel, thank you so much. Please subscribe. I'll be able to do the lives through that channel here soon, but I don't have enough followers yet. So again, this is something that I'm just going to be posting there, but primarily here, you'll catch the lives on Patreon. That's for all of the members. This is free content. You don't have to be a subscriber of one of the different tiers. Subscribers of the tiers, though, there are bonuses, there are perks. I try to make it worth your time. You get testers, unreleased items, vault items. This month we're going to be doing the Miss Cool Ice here. I'll probably be putting those up here Thursday or Friday. Again, harvest tier first crack, flowering tier gets a second crack at them. But the good news is I have enough to give if everybody wants one, then you guys can order all from those tiers, and I'll still probably have a couple left over. But that is that. I'm kind of, I got to keep reminding myself, let me lean back. I kind of keep reminding myself here that it's okay to take a breath. It's okay to sit back and enjoy a little puff. I see a couple of you have joined. Thank you so much. I hope you guys are having a good evening. Puff one with me. Just chilling. Lazy Sunday evening. Actually, not lazy at all. I've got a whole bunch of things to do, but it's been a week since the last time I did this. So I want to do it at least every week. Again, I'm looking at things daily, but a lot of stuff going on. I just finished completely messing up trying to make gummies. Like, followed the recipe, came out with like gnarly concrete that tasted just as much of like concrete. So yeah, that was not a good deal. Okay. All right, I will probably cut this in here. Hey, Unlucky Micah, what's up? I do see comments here. Thanks for joining, man. Thanks for hanging out. Again, hang out with me as long as you like. I'm going to try to dive back into the world of tissue culture here. Just to kind of recap last week, we started out, we looked at what tissue culture is, what are some of the possibilities with it, and then we developed like, why would we be interested in it? Why do I want to do it? Again, everybody wants to clean their plants of viruses and pathogens and all of that stuff, and it is possible through tissue culture, but definitely not with the equipment and the knowledge that we have. What we're able to primarily do is duplicate, replicate, micro propagation. So I'll be able to take small snips of strains that I enjoy. I'll be able to kind of not keep them in suspended animation, but I'll be able to keep them growing much slower, keep them around for much longer, and doesn't take up much space. Again, a rolling rack, you can stack these cups, you can have hundreds, if not thousands, but we're home growers, guys, so we'll probably have a couple dozen of each of the different strains, and we'll be able to pull them out when we want, acclimate them, and then grow them into a full plant. Can you imagine having just a fire OG? You love it, but you're only able to grow 6 plants with your plant count or whatever. You don't have to kill that, favorite fire OG. You can give it to a friend to back it up, and hopefully they keep it healthy. Hopefully they'll give it back to you when it's time, but you don't have to rely on that anymore. Always good to share the, prime cuts you have with a trusted person or two. Guys, shit happens. But with this, tissue culture, we'd be able to stack a whole bunch of them on our shelf and get back to them when we want. Say it's a year later, you're like, man, I really wish I had some more of that fire OG to smoke. Well, you pull it out, you add in the hormones, which we learned are auxins, and I kept saying cytokinins. Um, my pronunciation on a lot of these things may be suspect, but I will correct myself. Cytokinins. That's from the videos that I kept watching this week. And I should have known that because I am familiar with the word cytokinins, but seeing it in print, I'm like, cytokinins. So tomato, tomato, but I figured it was important to correct. Also, I keep saying auger for agar. You could say auger too, and people still know what you mean. Maybe it's because I grew up on the East Coast. So agar, auger, yeah, same difference. But we were looking into, I lost my train of thought, but the auger thing, agar thing. Oh yeah, cytokinins and auxins were the hormones. So we learned a little bit about those. We would add the right ones at the right ratio to encourage root development. Once we get some root development, we then start to harden it off. We start to acclimate it. It's almost like taking a clone from, the super humid environment and then gradually stepping it down into a real world environment. And then you move it into your soil. So that's a good reason why I would want to do it. It's actually pronounced agar, agar. Yeah, that's freaking hilarious. I love it. I need that little button you just push. It's all agar. Google is good for that. Sometimes that helps me with my Dutch words. I digress. We were looking at, the different agar solutions, the things that you would put your tissue culture samples into. And again, those hormones, the minerals, those are things that you add into it, but a lot of them, like pre-made soil, a lot of them are amended with the proper nutrients. And kind of the industry standard for a whole bunch of different plants is the MS. Two dudes with hard names to pronounce, but commonly referred to as MS, seemed to be the standard. The further we looked, especially as a reference point, Umami Seeds, they've got a great tissue culture program, and a couple other sources. We found that I believe it was the DKW was it had better results for cannabis specifically. And that's a lot of the things that we're going to kind of have to suss out through this learning process, because again, the way you grow tomatoes isn't the way you grow cannabis. Sure, there's a lot of similarities and things that work, but there are differences. So I'm primarily going to be looking for cannabis related things. Although a lot of the information is non-cannabis, there are people doing it in cannabis. Good to get a wide overview as well. I want to see what the professionals are doing. I want to see what the big labs are doing. What is their methodology? What are their materials? Why? Because they got bills to pay, to be short. So they're not going to mess around with things that aren't really effective for them. So that's better than, Joe Blow, who's doing cool stuff in a closet in Ohio, doing all these crazy, well, I add this much of this, and then I stand on my left foot and I wink at it for 3 minutes. And then, under a full moon, I lift up my shirt, show my left nipple. I don't know why I went there, but yeah, I'm looking for kind of industry standard at this point. Something I've always said about growing is you have to know the rules before you can break the rules. So we're in the process of learning the rules, guys, and then we'll bend them to our will later. Potato dextrose is used in mycology. So one of the things that I really wanted to look at today is just kind of equipment. Some of the things that we're going to need, it can be cheap, it can be expensive. There's DIY, there's professional. Hopefully we're going to meet somewhere in between. But one of the most expensive things that you're going to buy is, where are you working? Are you working with one of the laminar flow hoods? And that basically has like HEPA filters. It has all the particle and bacteria filters, and it runs air through that. It runs through the filter. It blows it either at you or blows down into your work area. And that is a way to help keep things sterile. Being sterile and having sterile conditions seems to be just the number one thing about tissue cultures. There's a lot of places for it to get infected with bacteria or with molds, and that's going to just like ruin your day. So sterilization is a big thing, and your work area is a big part of that. So you mentioned mycology, and we got here because mycology, a lot of the guys doing the mycology, they're using the dry or the still air boxes, and that can also be used for tissue culture as well. Again, it's something where you control the environment, you're able to spray everything down, and we've learned you want to spray with the 70% alcohol, which is isopropanol. You spray your hands, you spray your gloves, you spray all your materials, you spray the walls, you then put in, and you're kind of working in that still air box, and you're not breathing on it because it's inside of a box. Looks a little bit maybe cumbersome, hard to get used to, like having your hands like stuck in this position, and then you gotta figure stuff out. Whereas like the laminar flow hood is just open, you can move, blah 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 blah. Another thing is you don't want to cross over things, so that might actually be a benefit in the still air box because you're not really gonna meh, meh. So we'll look at a few of those things, a few of those options. Again, Jester Grows, shout out, dude. Travis, shout out to you guys. Thanks for just hanging out. Thanks for being here. We're have a little puff, and then we're just gonna look at a few things again tonight, equipment related. Again, day one, we took a look at some different websites. I told you the ones that are going to keep popping up for you typically are, I think it was the Plant Cell Technology. All I have to do is throw in Google tissue culture and a bunch of videos, a bunch of articles from them, but also Plants in Jars. That is a person that I am learning from. Excellent resource, not cannabis related at all, but the process is very, very similar. I like her just personality. Her style just like clicks. It's like it makes sense for me. Again, I'm a very visual learner. It helps me to see something versus reading the book. I do both, but I'll learn faster if I see somebody do it. And a lot of you in the comments, it was awesome, did mention her as well. Plants in Jars. So I'm actually going to pull up her website because on day one, I was on the Plant Cell Technology website, and they had a starter kit. So I just clicked on it, and we took a look at, okay, again, what was the agar that was in there? They had the MS as part of it. They also had the different tools. So it was fun to see what you would maybe need as a beginner. And then a lot of you said, Plants in Jars also has a kit. That's great. And I was aware of that, but I wanted to actually go back today on this episode and highlight the kit that she has available on her website. Because again, I vote with your dollars, right? I'm learning from this person, and that's a huge benefit to me. So if her beginner kit costs $10 more than just me putting it all together, I would happily buy off her website and give the $10 to her, because again, I'm receiving something in exchange. But from what I understand is you actually will save a little bit of money if you do go with her complete kit. So let's just start there today. I'm going to go over to her website, and we'll take a look at what is in her beginner kit, and then we'll see how well that fits in for us with what we're doing. Because again, we're just starting. We're figuring things out here. Starter kits a lot of times are a good way to go. Randy, what's up, man? Didn't get a YouTube notification for this. Yeah, I right now this is it's unlisted on the Chad Westport YouTube channel. I'm trying to be able to stream on the Weed in Jars YouTube channel, which is my new YouTube channel specifically for this adventure of learning tissue culture. But I don't have enough people, or I don't have enough history. I don't have enough something yet, so I can't live broadcast from there. So I hit it on the Chad Westport YouTube channel, which allows me to use StreamYard, so I can go into these other tabs and show you guys what I'm seeing. And then it's obviously live broadcast people are catching it on the Patreon. So Georgia, on my mind, thanks for joining. Yeah, thank you, Randy. Yeah, it's just at Weed in Jars. Hopefully it's showing up for people now. It wasn't before, but it should be in the little description here that I put on Patreon. It should be a hot link. So if you're able to click it, it should take you to the Weed in Jars YouTube channel. So, okay, let's get back to talking about plants in jars. Her channel is awesome. I like to support people that I am learning from. So let's take a look at what she has going on right now as far as starter kits. Wow. Okay. My view is not that great. Okay. Let me go over here. So we're going to scroll down media. Again, so you see that MS? That's the Meshuggah Skoogie or whatever. Again, I cannot pronounce it. Does it actually? Yeah, it does. It says it on here. Murashigi and Skoog. Plus Gamborg's vitamins. Okay, so Gamborg's vitamins, actually, that is another medium. We learned about that one. And that was, I believe it was for less nitrogen-hungry plants. Cannabis is a very nitrogen-hungry plant, so we kind of actually ruled out the Gamborg last week as something that was going to be beneficial or the right media for us to use. She's also got some merch here. She's got some cool shirts, but let's click on media first. Perfect. Okay, so the starter kit, we'll go into that. This looks like just the MS, so just the media. Again, this MS is like the industry standard for what you're using. Let me see here on the Patreon. Hopefully it did flip the page. Let me know, guys, if it's still on that front page. But right now I'm looking at her actual products. Okay, so yeah, it's got starter kit. We'll look at that, the MS, which I was talking about, and then complete PGR bundle. PGR, something we're familiar with, plant growth regulators, usually frowned upon in cannabis, but there's all kinds of PGRs, guys. So kelp technically is a PGR. We're just going to call that chitin. I honestly do not know how to pronounce that one. Agar, BAP, which is short. We learned about that last week. NAA, we learned about that. GA3, IAA, we learned about the IBA, we learned that last week. Your auxins and your cytokinin. So let's actually take a look at the starter kit here. Just in all fairness, we looked at the one from Plant Cell Technology last week. So today we're going to be looking at the one from Plants in Jars. Both are websites that I'm learning good information from, and I'd recommend them to you to learn more. And the YouTube channel, again, for Plants in Jars is freaking awesome. Okay, so in her starter kit, we've got 100 grams of the agar. We still don't actually know, or we still haven't discovered what size we want to use for our petri dishes or for our cups, and actually how much agar that actually takes. So does it take 10 grams of agar? Okay, so you'll get 10 separate cups out of here. Is it only 5, or does it take 20 and you only get 5 cups? So that's a question we need to answer, is what is the common level of agar? Size of your container is going to make a difference. Okay, so this has, again, the cytokinins and the auxins, which you're going to use to either promote shoot development or to promote root development. The ratios will change depending upon what stage you're at and where you're trying to actually keep it at. Because again, these things are almost like suspended animation, not quite, but almost. So we have the option to kind of keep it in that sort of vegetative state, or we could add the right hormones, and then boom, we're promoting roots and on our way to acclimate that out to a media. So okay, so starter kits, the BAP, the NAA, the IBA, those are the common ones that we repeatedly see. So those are the goods. Again, the media, MS media, 10 liters plus vitamins. Okay, so maybe you're adding that into the agar. I kind of thought it was one in the same. Agar's got the MS. Huh. I wonder what the ratio of the mixture here would be, what you have to do for that. Because the other ones we were looking at is just like, meh, all in one. It's like the hot dog with the little cheese in it, man. It's all there. And then the protocol library access, which she gives you, which again, she's got great methods. It's not for cannabis. It's for different plants, but she works with a lot of exotic plants, and like cannabis, a lot of the feeding is strain dependent, right? So you can feed a general thing to all of the plants, and that's probably going to work fairly well for a lot of things. But if you really dialed in your room, it's yeah. If you really dialed in a strain, you know that okay, maybe it takes, as an example, say, well, 10 more milligrams per watering of this particular nutrient and it shines. Whereas maybe in the beds or the pots next to it, a different cultivar, you add that and it's just like, why'd you do that? But if you kept it in the middle, they both would be happy. So yeah, she's got some good plant protocol stuff there. Some good customer reviews. Let's go back to products though. Media, the complete PGR bundle. So basically, if you just needed more of those hormones, auxins and cytokinins that promote either your shoot growth or your root growth, this is where you would re-up on those. And then just, again, individual jars here in case you go through them faster. Cool. So she does have a starter kit, but again, MS is kind of outdated for cannabis. It's the DKW, and then the agar being separate. I wonder how that works. Again, I'm a rookie at this, so I'm sure it makes sense to most people who do this, but things you learn along the way. Don't forget to ask questions, guys. Learning in public. Let's just check out the merch here real quick for fun. Okay, so the protocol library, yeah, you can see listed here philodendron, succulents, African violets, general houseplant formula, begonias, roses, nubis, petunias, seed germination. Yeah, again, just what I was saying. There's a little bit of different formulas or protocols for different plants. It is cool that it does mention seed germination though, because embryo rescue is something I am absolutely interested in. And kind of what that is, I've got old seeds. They won't pop. They don't crack. I've tried multiple different things. You try the scarification, you try heat, you try not H2O, oh my God, hydrogen peroxide. Thank you. You try aspirin. I've tried a number of things, guys. It's GA3. If somebody's like thrown ideas at me, I've used them to try to get some of the older beans, older meaning like 70s and 80s stuff to pop. And I haven't had luck yet. But the embryo rescue, the seed germination, kind of like you saw on that list, absolutely interested in that. Because again, all of the nutrients and minerals that these tissue cultured plants, nodes, stems, everything that they'll need is in the agar. If you're able to crack a seed and there's still like a viable embryo, like a little bit of white tissue, even though like I'm not having luck popping it, maybe the seed shell is too thick now, or maybe because it's so old it just doesn't have enough stored energy to bust out of the shell or even crack it. But if we're able to crack the shell, and Mr. Toad, he's got bean busters, it's almost just like a little screw. You keep screwing it down, you keep screwing it down, you screw it down, and you see the seed crack, you hear it crack. And you guys may have done this, but you like open it up and there's the white, just, curled up little embryo in there. I should be able to take that, place that into the agar, and if I have the right hormones, I should be able to get that to grow. It's embryo rescue. Again, it's not something that's 100%, but right now I'm batting 0%. So I'm really excited in that. It would be rad if I could bring back some things from the 70s or 80s through that. So, yeah, that is part of it. Bigger the roots, better the fruits. Absolutely, Jester. Gotta build a good, healthy root zone. And I'm excited to work with some of these. Whoops, let me go back to the website. I'm excited to work with some of the different plants. I'm going to start with a lot of different house plants because they root faster, they grow faster than some of the cannabis. So, yeah, I want to do all kinds of things with this tissue culturing. Again, there's a lot of possibilities here. And one of the big things, again, why a lot of people are going to be looking into it, myself included, is the new farm bill. Seeds are explicitly called out. You can no longer do that as of November of this year. But clones and tissue culture has not been specifically named. It is neither a final product or a intermediary, or I don't even know the word I'm looking for here, but it doesn't fit the definitions of any of the banned things so far. So technically it is still hemp. So that's why you could have a dozen or 100 of these little tissue culture tubs sitting on a wire rack in your room, and it's totally cool. I'm not a lawyer, not a doctor, play one on TV, but yeah, that's why a lot of people are looking into this. So, that would be badass. Unlucky Maiko. That is the dream. Again, like I would love to be able to go through a lot of the beans that I have, right? And I can pop them. I can take a little snip of them. I can have them in tissue culture before it even flowers. So I don't really have to worry about a clone. I don't have to worry about the extra plant. I don't have to worry about the extra space. And then as I flower that plant, if it's like a winner, you no longer have to be like, damn, I didn't take a clone, or, try the re-veg, right? I've got it, multiples of it in the tissue culture. So if it's a winner, I will probably take a couple out, try to acclimate them, and then put it in the rotation. But if it's just like, yeah, that was good stuff, or, middle of the road, or just maybe even not my personal flavor, I just get rid of it. I can check those out of the way, but that's going to be cool, man. It'll be badass to have a lot of different things on hand that I can pull from. There's a company here in Washington, they're in Seattle, it's called House of Cultivar. They've been doing this for years, but they've got, last time I heard, it's over 300 different strains in the tissue culture. Now, they only typically run less than 10 at a time, but whatever the market demands, whatever they want to run, whatever their schedule allows for, they're able to bring things in and out of that tissue culture, in and out of their rotation. And that, to me, is a freaking goal. Let's see, Jester, if wheat strain was a legume plant, had nitrogen nodules, do you think it would survive from start to finish like soybeans, alfalfa, clover, and so on? There's not, I'm not sure I fully understand it, but there's not enough atmospheric nitrogen to keep a cannabis plant happy. And that's what a lot of like legumes absorb, is that atmospheric nitrogen. They then fix it into the soil, particularly if you do chop and drop, it's in there. But no, I don't think it's enough to fully saturate it. So I'm just going to go back to Google. So we're just chilling here again, guys. Just chilling for a little bit. We wanted to look at today just flow hood or still air box. There's a big price difference in the two. Can you really do one or the other? So again, guys, this is just how to start basic research, basic knowledge. Go to Google, right? There's Google Scholar. There's a whole bunch of places you can check, but everybody has access to Google. And I'm just going to type laminar flow hood versus still air box. For some reason, I want to keep calling it a dry air box, but still air box. So Let me share the old Google screen, see what this says, and then we'll riff off of that. Again, it's a good starting point. It's a good jump off point. You then can go as deep as you want. But the point of a lot of me showing you my process of just learning is it's all about asking the right questions. And a lot of time you can get to the right questions from reading the basic information, especially when you're starting. So let's go with the AI overview. Everybody loves AI because we know it's 100% right. No. And as you saw in the last episode, day one, there are areas where it gets it wrong. But again, it's a good jump off place, guys. Okay, it says a still air box is cheap, portable container that relies on no airflow for particulates to settle out, while a laminar flow hood uses the fan and a HEPA filter to create continued stream of filtered sterile air, pushing contaminants away for superior, easier sterility, though it's more expensive and bulky. So hey, I'm just as good as AI. That's what I said earlier. Let's give an example though. Maybe you guys are not familiar with what they look like. So here's a good picture of a still air box, right? He's got his cool little gloves. He's sticking his hands in there. So he's not actually breathing or putting anything inside himself. I mean, you've got gloves, you've got those. Now you're gonna spray everything down with alcohol, and this is kind of a big one. It looks like I'm actually interested. Well, here's the size over here, 30 by 20 by 21. Probably want something bigger. This is a smurf of a man working in this box. So don't always rely on the picture images, guys. Photoshop. They don't always get dimensions right. So, okay. You get the general point, though. It's a box. I've seen people construct their own still air boxes out of just like a plastic tub, the clear plastic tubs that you get at a Home Depot. Something like this probably looks like it could fold up. Same principle either way. It is sealed. There is no way for air to really get in there. There are zippers on the side, so you're able to get all this equipment in there when you need, or you just put it through the holes here. But yeah, wow, he's got some really infected looking petri dishes there. You are not sterile, sir. But yeah, you get the idea here. You can kind of set up everything. You stick your hands in, you work with it. Cool. That is the still. Ooh, different pictures. Show us something. You're not a cool picture. Yeah, okay, dimensions. That's what it looks like. Myco Lab. So yeah, this is for mycology. Again, a lot of the mushroom people, they're already hip to this, to the still air box. They've been using them for a long time, and it does. It looks like it actually folds up into that little thing right there. So, okay, cool. That is the still air box. It looks like a biodome. Absolutely. Shout out to Pauly Shore, man. Biodome was a great movie. Yeah, Dragons with Matches, like a sandblasting box. Totally, man. It's fully sealed, and that's kind of what the laminar stuff looks like too. So let's take a look at some of the laminar flow hoods, and there's all kinds. So if you're a baller, if you're working in a big, like, yeah, you see that price tag right there? $4,300 basically. But this is the laminar flow hood. It looks cool. We had these in the labs at, I've had some good access to things. Temperature, humidity sensor, a UV lamp in there. What else we got? That's what it looks like kind of in the real world setup. Oh, it's even fully automated. That's cool stuff. Okay. That's the expensive one, right? Oh, you guys aren't even seeing it. Damn it. I did that again. I did that last week. I need to learn. I'm sorry, guys. Let me go to... Oh, I wonder if that... I probably wasn't even showing that still air box on the right screen, too. I'll get with this one of these days, guys. I'll learn it. So, let me stop sharing this page. Sorry, guys. I'll just quickly show that still air box. as you already listened to me describe it earlier. But yeah, here it is. This is the box. Folds down into that. This is the example I was showing earlier when I said, it's a little smurf of a man, because this box is only 30 by 20 by 21. So that's where the AI or the Photoshop gets you when they're putting it together. Gosh, man, I don't even like this view. Come on, StreamYard. Why are you a pain in my butt when it comes to this thing? That's what I was trying to do, try to get you guys a bigger, better picture of it. So, okay, so that's the still air box. All kinds of options. This one's $34. So basically, you're going to be able to pick up a good still air box for under $100, probably $50-$60. Or if you want to DIY it, you could probably do it for $20. Again, I've seen some creative things. Shoot, I almost thought, it's like, I can make one, and I'm going to go into my one of those old tents that I have. I'm like, shoot, all of them have that little, that double sock for that exhaust vent. They've usually got the 4-inch or the 6-inch. I'm like, wonder if I just cut a couple of those off, glued them to one of those plastic boxes, and then I've got my box and I got my cool little, contaminant trap stuff. Stick my hand through there, tighten it on my wrists, and then I'm good to go. But fortunately, no. Again, for $35, you could get one that already has them in there. You don't have to go that DIY just because you can. But yeah, let me go real quick. I'll close that one, and then, dude, did it even show the laminar flow hood, man? I'm confused now. This is why I need the Weed in Jars channel to work with the live broadcast on Patreon, because Patreon is my priority with this series, with the info. Again, we're just out here learning together. Okay, so here's the laminar flow hood. Big fancy machine. Again, that price is over here, $4,300. But this just kind of gives you an example of what they look like in the real world. It's got the big filter. It's blowing air through that, so it's moving fresh, sterile air over your media, which, again, it's like positive and negative pressure in your grow tent. We use negative pressure, which is where the walls suck in. This is kind of positive pressure. It's blowing everything out. And a lot of greenhouses use positive pressure, because when you open the door of the greenhouse, it's particularly if you're in a big field and you have negative pressure, well, every time you open that door, everything that's close to it is getting sucked in and brought into the greenhouse. And that is just kind of almost an IPM nightmare. That's why a lot of greenhouses use positive pressure, because when you open the door to walk in or walk out of the greenhouse, because it's positive pressure, it's blowing everything away. That means nothing is going to come in. It's getting blown away. Positive pressure, negative pressure, kind of the same concept with the laminar flow hoods. It's got that positive pressure. It's, blowing, here's your media. It's blowing good sterile air over it versus bringing bad microbe pathogen infected air over it. So that's why the professionals use something like these laminar flow hoods. Because again, sterilization, keeping your media sterile, is the name of the game. And I'm going to close this one up here. Let me come back, make sure I'm going to share the right screen here, because I have been seeing some decent, cheap laminar flow hoods, if that's even not an oxymoron, but something a little bit more affordable, maybe in the $300-$400 range. But I still need to talk to more people that are using this style and see if it's effective. Because again, anybody could put a fan behind a HEPA filter and call it a laminar flow hood, right? Yeah, you really could. And a lot of these products are coming from China, which dude, you get a lot of cheap knockoff stuff from there. So who knows the effectiveness of them? So that's something we need to research, more people to talk to. But let me just type in, I'm going to type in cheap laminar flow hood here. See what pops up. Yeah, so these are the ones that I've kind of been seeing and I've kind of been looking at, and I'm like, if I go that route, this might be something I'm interested in. Okay, so yeah, like here's a cheap version of it. Oh, yeah, so you could even, DIY it here. That cheap version of it. Still a little suspect, but who knows? We'll figure it out. We got to talk to people. But we're just learning what is available, what is possible. And actually looking at some of these pictures, you obviously see, like the professional, the big ones. But I am seeing some other kind of almost just like DIY small box style ones, which is kind of cool. And yeah, this is kind of what I was looking at earlier. You've got your work surface here. You've got kind of sidewalls to keep things as sterile as possible, just contaminants coming in from the side, but the air comes through the back. It blows through this filter here over your work surface, again blowing away contaminants with fresh sterile air. So there absolutely is an affordable option compared to the master monster flow hoods. This one's only $2,500. Sheesh, who's gonna do that? Not me, not yet. We're hobby level, man. Hobby level. Well, this is interesting. This says testing a cheaper laminar flow hood. Let's go to their website. Let's see what they did to test this cheap laminar flow hood. And hey, maybe it's tests we can apply ourselves. Let's see if we learn something here on this page. Yeah, looking at the comments, that's awesome. When I smoke, no joke, I entered the laminar flow. That's awesome. I need to put that somewhere in the description. Be like, one toke, and you're in the laminar flow, bro. Hell yeah. That's awesome, dude. Okay, so let's see what this guy says, or this person, and let's see what we can learn from them. Because again, a smart person is able to see what's smart about the next person. All right, so testing a cheap laminar flow hood. Okay, that looks like the one that we were talking about getting. Okay, these are only a couple $100 compared to thousands. And real quick, just to always give a shout out, this is chiliphysicsенjoyer.substack.com. Casual physics enjoyer here, right there. Is where I'm getting this article from. When is this dated? December 7th, 2025. Hey, fairly recent. Cool news. No, sorry. When you do experience contamination, contamination sucks. Yeah, it's the most common thing. That's why you want something like these. Okay, so he's talking Bunsen burners, sterilizing tools, sterilizing everything here. All right, we're getting to the good part. Laminar flow hoods. Flow hood fan air runs through a HEPA filter. HEPA actually stands for something. I forget what it is, but it filters out the majority of particulates. It's such a fine screen. It can get rid of microbes, get rid of pathogens, molds, that type of thing. So laminar flow hood pushes air through that, and then the air comes at you. Okay, well, that's kind of a good example. It shows you with the red arrows, the air is being sucked around into the fan, and then it's being blown out the blue arrows, which keeps the unfiltered air out of your area. Just kind of shows you a little more of the filter frame. It almost looks like a car radiator, right? But that's the HEPA filter, how it works. They show a big bulky one. Here's a cheap one. That was something that we were looking at. All right, guy, tell me your magic, dude. What's most important? He says, this is important. Okay. If you can tell that your experiment is clean, then whatever works. No need for fancy brand names. Yeah, absolutely. I will second that. Whatever works will work. Your technique will influence it. The better you are about not crossing your hands, the better you are about sterilization, you'll have better success and different results. And what I think I might do is maybe get one of these cheaper laminar hoods, get one of the still air boxes, and then just, I like A and B tests. I'll do side by sides. I'll do tissue culture 10 in here, tissue culture 10 in there, both with the same agar mix, both with the same plant, recreate them as much much sameness, god, words, right? Trying to keep it the same, but run the experiment in both that cheaper laminar flow hood and the still air box. And if the numbers are pretty much even, cool, you can really go with whatever way you prefer. Still air boxes are definitely cheaper. But if I'm doing everything the same technique, same plant, same agar, and I have a higher percentage of infected plates from the still air box compared to the flow hood, well, maybe I'll be like, okay, maybe I need to recommend that flow hood more, and maybe I need to invest more of my money into a better and bigger flow hood. Almost like LED lights. Damn it, guys. Yeah, you could go out and spend a whole bunch of money right away. As a new grower, most people don't. They want to make sure that, yeah, okay, I'm into this. This isn't just like a fad. This is something that I'm really into. And laminar flow hoods are no different, man. You can blow the bank on them. So I don't roll that deep. So I'm looking for an option to get into these things. Yeah, the good point too. Depends on how much you're going to use it. That's a great freaking point. If I was going to be using it constantly, I would probably go, like daily. I would be so busy. I'd probably go with something more, the professional tool, the laminar flow hood. But since I'm not, it'll probably just be like, yeah, take some tissue cultures here. And then every 4 to 6 weeks, I'll switch their containers, add new media to it. So it's probably not going to be an everyday thing, but yeah, excellent point there. If I do enjoy it, it may turn into an everyday thing. And again, that's when I'll invest into bigger and better equipment. So let me take myself off of there. Okay, what I was really hoping for with this thing is like, okay, what was it? See, I don't even remember the title of it. Testing a cheaper laminar flow hood. How are you testing it? What are the criteria you're looking for? That's what I want to know. Okay, this is important. If you can tell that your experiment is clean, then whatever works. Okay, yeah, what we were just saying. So they had to test one of these out. And again, this is the one I'm looking at. It is a cheaper one. It is like China made. So who knows if it's actually worth the money, or if some dude who just slaps stuff together is like, cost me $10, cost you 300. There is that out there. All right. So this person says he put 4 agar plates under the clean air and 4 agar plates above. So we can see here in front of the laminar flow hood, and then these on top. These do not have sterile air blowing over them. So microbes, bacteria, particulates can easily fall into there, ruining the sterilization. Whereas this down here, it's got to battle against that air to land in there. But let's see what he says. Left them exposed for 30 minutes. Wow, he says this is a ridiculous amount of time to leave agar plates open for, since usually you'd only open them for a few seconds. Again, it's sterile media in there. We want to keep it sterile. So less exposure to the air, the better. He wanted to make sure it was left, basically trying to catch the contamination. All right, so here's the results. The plates marked N are without the laminar flow hood. 4 for 4 plates from without the laminar flow hood got contaminated. The bottom right one has a small amount. So, all right, so N. So these 4 are the plates, and you can see the actual bacteria, looks like mold, that landed in there and has infected the plates. So going back to the ones that were in front of it, it says 2 of the 4 plates with the hood got contaminated. Again, guys, he left it open for 30 minutes, whereas 30 seconds would be an extreme amount of time. And we're looking at these 4 plates here. I see a little bit right there as far as the contamination. And I can't tell if that's his writing, but I see some red here. And a lot of, from what I understood this week from some of them, is like molds, the pathogens, they'll show up here like that, whereas bacteria will actually show up as kind of like slimy colored stuff here. So that might be the case. Wow, that's the end of the article. Dude, you were not that helpful, but I appreciate your effort. Thanks for the information. Okay. Well, shoot. I'm already at about 50 minutes. I need to get running today. Dang it, guys. Okay. Well, this was kind of day 2. We recapped what we learned about the different media in day 1. Again, MS seems to be the most common thing for most plants, but DKW is probably the preferred media for cannabis. Maybe we dive more into that the next time. We did come up with some good questions that we need to ask ourselves and get the answers for. Again, that 100 grams of agar that was in the kit we looked at today from Plants in Jars. Okay, how many grams do you typically use per cup or per dish? Again, if it was 5 or 10, cool, you get 20 or 10 different dishes out of that. But if you're using 20, 25 grams per dish, you're only getting like 4 plates. So that's not that cool. That's something we need to look up. What is the average amount that you put into the cup? So determine how far your dollar goes. But I did want to highlight the Plants in Jars kit because, again, Plants in Jars, a great YouTube channel, a great resource, learning a lot from there. So we did that. We covered that. We figured out DKW was probably the best. Coming back today, again, we know sterilization is important. Just wanted to look at the quick differences between the still air box and the laminar flow hood, because that's probably going to be one of the more important purchases that we make in this tissue culture journey. So guys, thank you for hanging out this evening with me, and I will continue to have more information available, more series coming up, more days. This was just kind of a quick one that wasn't terribly focused, but I just wanted to jump in, do a little something today. So thank you for hanging out. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Please leave your questions in the comments. Go subscribe to Weed in Jars on YouTube. That's where you're going to find these, other than right here on the Chad Westport Patreon channel. That's the number one. And thank you guys, the Patreons, for watching and hanging out tonight. Again, the Miss Cool Ice is going to be coming available for you guys on this week. Party on, Unlucky Myco. Party on, sir. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. I will catch you guys next time. Again, much love. Peace out. Party on.